Just hours ago, a single tweet from GB News ignited another political firestorm. Nigel Farage calls on King Charles and senior members of the royal family to visit his constituency. At first sight, it appeared to be a routine public relations move, another headline in Britain's never-ending media carousel. But for Westminster insiders, that tweet was a coded message. Farage wasn't just inviting royalty, he was establishing himself as the king's defender, the voice of the nation that Starmer had alienated. Within minutes, the post had 10,000 views and thousands more reposts. Commentators described it as the moment Reform UK crossed from protest to power. The time was perfect and fatal. The country was still reeling from Starmer's infamous outburst against the Crown. With the King mute and Labour in freefall, Farage's proposal seemed more like a call to arms than flattery. Reporters camped outside Buckingham Palace. MPs whispered that the King might truly go. In the streets, Britons argued not about taxes or housing, but about loyalty to their party or to the Crown. Something had shifted. The United Kingdom was no longer simply divided. It was time to choose sides. Inside Number 10, the air was thick with panic. Cabinet ministers fought in hushed, heated tones, and aides refreshed polling dashboards like heart monitors. Labour's numbers were falling quicker than anyone expected. Starmer stood at the head of the table, mouth tense and eyes bloodshot. "We govern by consent, not coronation," he stated between gritted teeth. But the words seemed empty. Even his closest allies avoided his gaze. Louise Hay's resignation letter was recently surfaced. "I cannot serve a leader who mocks the monarchy," it read, and social media exploded. Within hours, 2 more ministers had walked. BBC News showed a split screen showing the resignations, alongside footage of royal crowds waving flags. Optics were fatal. Angela Rayner sat quietly, calculating. Reeves avoided eye contact. Starmer slammed the table. "Cowards! The whole lot of you! We don't bow to a man wearing a crown because his mother did." The room froze. An aide murmured, "Prime Minister, the palace has made no comments." Starmer's response was icy. "They won't need to." As the doors closed behind him, aides exchanged disbelieving looks. The man who pledged to restore stability has become the storm. And outside those walls, Britain was already moving on. Without him, Windsor Castle at sunrise. The first rays of October dawn shone through the mist, lighting images of bygone rulers, kings and queens who had survived wars, scandals and revolutions. Now King Charles stood among them, a modern monarch, in an ancient home under assault. On a mahogany desk sat a stack of morning newspaper. Royal Crisis shakes Downing Street. Starmer vs the Crown. The King's confidential secretary, Sir Clive Alden, broke the stillness. "Your Majesty, the Prime Minister has not withdrawn his statements. The public mood is volatile." Charles didn't look up. "The Crown must not flinch," he said. "Silence is sometimes the loudest voice." Advisers moved awkwardly. Some suggested a statement, a polite censure, a call to togetherness. Others were concerned that even a murmur may sound political. The King listened, said nothing, and turned towards the window where the flag was flying at full mast. Behind him, aides discussed. History awaited him. He understood the paradox. To preserve the monarchy, he needed to appear above the fray, but doing nothing risked allowing the institution to be defined by its foes. Outside, the sound of chapel bells resonated around Windsor. Inside, the monarch peered into the gloom, aware that Britain's balance was breaking once more. Nigel Farage smelt opportunity like gunpowder. The GB News tweet had served its purpose. Now came the spectacle. By lunchtime, his constituency office was a media circus, with cameras, microphones and ecstatic fans waving Union Jacks. Farage strode onto a makeshift platform, the sun reflecting off his lapel pin. "When our Prime Minister insults our King," he told me, "he insults every Briton who still believes in this country." The crowd let up a yell. "I say to His Majesty, come to Clacton! Come to where Britain still beats proud and true." Reporters streamed live as the hashtags #, Stand with Charles and #, Farage for Britain trended globally. The Reform UK website failed due to high traffic from new members. Farage's statements were harsh, but disciplined, with no personal attacks and only polished patriotism for prime time. "We're not here to divide," he said. "We're here to remind this government that our nation was built on service, duty, and respect." Even his detractors recognised that the optics were perfect. Farage seemed like the people's tribune, while Starmer looked like the man sneering at the nation's soul. Inside Tory headquarters, strategists panicked. Labour's implosion was supposed to benefit them, not Reform UK. In Buckingham Palace, aides watched the film silently. The invitation was now public. The king could no longer ignore it. The question was no longer whether he would respond, but how. At Westminster, the knives were already out. Labour's WhatsApp groups, once full of policy memos and weekend plans, had devolved into digital battle rooms. Names were exchanged: Rayner, Reeves and Cooper. The question was not whether Starmer would fall, but who would push him. Rachel Reeves met privately with senior MPs in a side room of Portcullis House. "He's lost the public, he's lost the palace, and he's losing us," she told me. "If we wait, he'll take the whole party down with him." Angela Rayner nodded and chose her words carefully. "We cannot be viewed as traitors. We only move when the public demands it, which they already do." Meanwhile, Conservative backbenchers watched the implosion with rapacious interest. Some speculated that an early election may restore Tory dominance. Others felt that Farage's rise was unstoppable. In Downing Street, Starmer's paranoia grew. He replaced aides, locked himself in late-night sessions, and even accused colleagues of leaking information to the palace. When a reporter shouted outside the gates, "Prime Minister, will you apologise to the King?" he responded, "I answer to Parliament, not palaces." The video went viral, being replayed 1,000 times with insulting music and images of crumbling crowns. Angela Rayner told Reeves one thing that night: "It's time." The coup began silently, in the shadows of Westminster's oldest halls, rather than with a vote. 2 days later, Buckingham Palace ended its hush. The royal website stated that His Majesty will tour localities to underline his dedication to public service. No politics, no names. But everyone understood what it meant. The tour's first stop is Clacton, the home of Nigel Farage. The announcement reverberated throughout Britain. News anchors stammered through breaking coverage, while social media erupted with the slogan, "The Royal Strike Back." In pubs and cafes, people debated if it was constitutional courage or cunning vengeance. Downing Street has turned into anarchy. Advisers begged Starmer to offer congrats and appear unconcerned. He refused. "If he wants to play the game, let him," he exclaimed. "But history will remember who governs this country." Meanwhile, on Clacton Pier, flags swayed in the sea air. Stalls sold coronation-style mugs embossed with "God Save the King." Tens of thousands of people lined the seafront as the royal motorcade neared. Farage stood near the front, dressed immaculately in a navy suit, hands clasped behind his back, smiling for the cameras, but saying nothing. When King Charles stepped out of the car and shook his hand, the crowd surged. It was concise, polite, and completely destructive to the government. In that handshake, every headline was rewritten: "The King returns to the people." For the first time in weeks, Britain appeared to be united, but not under its Prime Minister. The following evening, Windsor unexpectedly announced that His Majesty will deliver remarks to the nation. Every channel switched to a live feed. The King appeared alone in the blue drawing room. No ministers, no fanfare. Just a single Union flag behind him. "My duty has always been to serve," he explained. "Serve the people, not power. To preserve what is ancient while always renewing, the essence of our united kingdom." He never used the name Starmer. He never talked politics. And yet every word was hammered. When division threatens our harmony, when voices shout louder than hearts listen, we must remember that our strength lies not in argument, but in allegiance. Not to persons, but to principle. The nation held its breath. His eyes twitched, revealing a hint of steel beneath his calm demeanour. "We have faced storms before," he replied softly. "We shall weather this one together." He finished with a small bow and left the frame. There is no applause or music, only silence. That quiet was louder than any speech Parliament could make. By daybreak, the polls were merciless. Labour, 24%. Conservatives, 30%. Reform, UK, 27% and rising. The Monarchy's approval rating had reached a 20-year high. Inside Downing Street, Starmer gazed at the statistics on his tablet, unblinking. He realised the game had ended. Ministers who had previously cheered him were now drafting comments about renewed leadership. Reporters camped outside, anticipating the inevitable. Across the river, Angela Rayner spoke with top MPs. "We moved today," she said. "Before the weekend, it's done." At the same time, Farage appeared live on GB News, smirking as if he could already smell triumph. "When the people stand with their king," he commented, "no government can stand against them." And at Windsor, King Charles went alone through the gardens, his look unreadable. He had said once, and that was enough. His silence had become the most powerful voice in Britain. Throughout the evening news, one question persisted. Who survives when a Prime Minister challenges their king? Nobody knew the solution, but one thing was certain. The balance that had held Britain together for 3 centuries had collapsed. The pieces were still falling.